This week, let's have some real talk about innovation, because we all need to be doing it, but old school brainstorming, it's kind of breaking our brains. So what if there's a better way? Hey, it's Rachel Cooke, your modern mentor. I'm the founder of Lead Above Noise, where we help teams work better by design. We deliver the tools and frameworks to help ensure work is productive, profitable, and energizing for the human spirit. I would love to come speak at your next event or offsite to deliver the clarity, confidence, and tools that your leaders need to bring this shift to life. Reach out today at leadabovenoise.com/connect. So years ago, I worked for a distribution company. We had a big, giant warehouse that one day became too small for us. Expanding in place wasn't an option, so executive leadership opted to design and build a brand new facility. With approximately 1 million architects, designers, contractors, and leaders in the mix, they developed plans for the new site. With approximately 1 million architects, designers, contractors, and leaders in the mix, they developed plans for the new site. And then famously, one day, the lead architect happened to have the plans laid out in the lobby when one of the facility gardeners walked by. The gardener took a quick glance at the plan and said, "Hey, buddy, do you realize if you build that exactly that way, I'll have to run the lawnmower over 16 different sidewalks to maintain the grass?" And suddenly 1 million architects, designers, contractors, and leaders were refining the plan. It was a moment I have never forgotten. Sometimes the nugget of wisdom you need comes from the most unexpected place. Sometimes too much expertise can become a blinder. And that's what I want to talk about today. When expertise becomes the thing blocking fresh thinking, and how curiosity can unlock what knowledge can't. Let's talk about the expertise trap. We default to expertise when we're trying to innovate. We bring in the people who know the most, the product managers, the engineers, the ones who've been doing the thing for lots of years. And no shade to the experts. We absolutely need them. But when you've been doing something for a really long time, you don't just learn what works. You learn all the things that don't work. You've tried things, you've failed, you've built up this whole catalog of stuff that doesn't work in your head. And that catalog is super useful most of the time. It kind of keeps you from falling off a cliff. But sometimes when the thing you need is a fresh idea, the catalog can feel kind of like a cage. It's hard to even consider the ideas that your experience has already ruled out. And those, quote, dumb questions that might unlock something genuinely new, they're almost impossible to ask about a thing you're super smart around. Meanwhile, when that gardener looked at the blueprint, he wasn't distracted by measurements or retaining walls. His eyes weren't drawn there. He had the space to see something fresh, and it changed the game. So often we lean on brainstorming sessions to kick up new ideas, and typically we fill the room with people who know the rules really, really well. And then we're surprised when all we get back are incremental tweaks on what already exists. Because brainstorming asks for answers. And when you fill a room with experts, you get expert answers, which means answers that live inside the existing frame. Nobody's really stepping back and asking whether the frame itself is the problem. And that's exactly what the gardener did. He didn't have a better answer, but he had a better question, and it changed the plan. So how do you create the conditions for that to happen on purpose? I want to share with you something called the Curiosity Hour. It's a new to me concept that I've now been playing with, and it's kind of fun and useful. It's just a structured hour where the only job is to ask questions, not to solve or pitch or strategize, but it shifts your thinking. And here's how you run one. First, pick a specific problem, not like how do we innovate more, but something concrete. Pick a process that takes too long or a handoff between teams that breaks down every time, a product feature that customers keep complaining about. Next, find your gardeners. These are the people who live with the problem daily, not the ones who designed the system or manage it, but the ones who bump up against it every day. Frontline employees, customers, new hires, someone from an adjacent team. Invite a few of them alongside your usual experts. Next, set the rules. Nobody proposes solutions. The only thing anyone can do in this 1 hour is to ask questions about the problem. Why does it work this way? What happens right before it breaks down? Who feels it the most? What would happen if we stopped doing it entirely? Has anyone tried anything different? And this is where your gardeners earn their keep. They don't know what questions are dumb. They don't know what's already been tried. They don't have the catalog in their heads of what won't work. So they ask the things that your experts stopped asking years ago. And those questions, the ones that make an expert pause and say, I actually don't know, this is often where your new thinking lives. Next, find your lead. In the last 20 minutes of the hour, look at the questions that stumped the room, the ones that no one had a quick answer for. Pick one or two and ask, if we could answer this question, what would it change? That becomes your innovation lead. Not an idea that someone pitched, but a question that nobody had thought to ask that now demands a real answer. And finally, go investigate. After the curiosity hour, assign that question to someone and give them a couple weeks to go explore and find some answers. Talk to customers, observe the process, pull the data, and then come back and share what they found. You might be amazed. The curiosity hour works because it flips the usual dynamic. In a brainstorm, experts dominate because they have the most answers. In a curiosity hour, it's the non-experts who lead because they tend to have the best questions. It also takes the pressure off. Nobody has to walk in with a big idea. You just have to be willing to ask why and what if, and has anyone actually checked that? And bonus, the questions that come from non-experts don't just challenge assumptions. They often reveal that the team has been solving the wrong problem entirely. Like that gardener. He didn't have a better building design. He just pointed out that no one had considered what it was actually like to maintain the grounds around it. Different question, changed everything. So now it's your turn. I'd love you to give this a try. This week, pick one problem your team has been stuck on, the one you've already brainstormed about twice with nothing to show for it. Now think about who lives in that problem every day. Not who owns it on the org chart, but who's feeling the pain of it. Invite them into a room along with your usual suspects. Set a timer for 40 minutes and tell everyone, no solutions, just questions, and see what comes up. I think you'll be surprised by what surfaces when you take the pressure off being smart and just let people be genuinely curious. Find your gardener, they're probably right down the hall, and they've probably been waiting for someone to ask. You can follow Modern Mentor on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Find and follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for listening and have a successful week. Modern Mentor is a quick and dirty tips podcast. Thanks to the QDT team. Audio engineer Dan Firabend. Director of podcasts Holly Hutchings. Ad operations specialist Morgan Christensen. Marketing manager Rebecca Sebastian. And our marketing contractor Nat Hoops.